individuals. So the next example involves a client, which again is Greenwatch, and their social media marketing agency called Buzzablog. And what Buzzablog has been asked to do by Greenwatch is to promote the launch of the Greenwatch using social media channels. And one of the things that the agency does here is that they tweet on their agency Twitter feed about their client Greenwatch's launch. And the Twitter profile of the agency has a link to the company's website where you can find the client list, but there's no specific disclosure in either the tweet or the profile of the relationship with Greenwatch. They have many clients. Furthermore, as part of the agency's work for Greenwatch, some of its employees also tweet about the Greenwatch launch on their own personal Twitter feeds. And here's a couple of examples of those. In one case, an employee is creating a new tweet. In another case, they're retweeting what their employer has said about the Greenwatch launch. And in both cases, for the sake of this example, these personal Twitter profiles don't mention that these individuals work for the agency Buzzablog. So again, we'd like to throw it out to the audience. How many people would give this activity by the agency and its employees a pass? They're learning. Okay, so how many would give it a fail? Okay. Does anyone want to venture to say what the ethical flaws of these activities might be? Yeah. Disclosure, yes. So why don't we just get into, so I think in a way we've we're getting the principles down here, and we'll get into what we specifically would recommend at WOMA. So again, the principle here is that any sponsored communication is subject to the requirement to make transparent disclosure, as long as there's a material connection. So clearly, the agency has a material connection to Greenwatch. They're getting money from Greenwatch to do the campaign. Its employees, the agency's employees, have a material connection to their employer. So, a material connection, just to kind of get into the definition of it, as we state here, it's any kind of information that might affect the credibility of the endorsement that the person is actually making. So, that includes employment, it includes an agency-client relationship. So there's clearly a material connection, and there's been a lack of disclosure. So what we would recommend is that in every tweet that is a sponsored communication by the agency, so when they're talking about one of their clients, that would be considered a sponsored communication, they should use the hashtag #client. And furthermore, there might be a general disclosure statement on the Twitter profile linking to their client page, saying that we tweet about our clients, we use #client, and here's our client list if you want to learn more. And then the employees, they also have a duty to disclose that there is a material connection that they have. So either it's #client, we're referring to Greenwatch, or #EMP, #employee, to refer to the fact that they're talking about one of their employer's clients.
I have an example and a question for the room. First is the example, and one WOMA member, a company called New Media Strategies in Washington, D.C., they're dealing with this issue. And how they've addressed it is the CEO, Pete, has told the company that no employees can use the auto-retweet function. So in Twitter, there's this auto-retweet function that prevents you from manipulating the original content. Instead, everybody has to manually retweet so that they can incorporate the relevant hashtag. Now, New Media Strategies is, it's a small to mid-size agency. My question to the room is, say you work at a global advertising, marketing, PR firm, and you're on 2 accounts, but the agency has 1,000 accounts. You don't necessarily know the other 998 accounts that your organization has. how do you then, how would you, if you were running that agency, address this very issue? This is, to me, this is one of the trickier pieces, right? Yes, there's a material connection indirectly. You're not on that account, but that account ultimately helps to pay your salary. How would you guys approach disclosure in that context? Yeah.
Is there any strategies that we have for work account, personal account, that's clearly identified for reporters?
One more time.
Reporters do that pretty regularly, where they'll have a work Facebook account and then a personal account, and it's called out as distinctive.
Yeah, but in that case, it's still the same human, still has the same motivation to keep their job. So, it gets, the further out you go, the grayer it becomes. Yeah.
Maybe you signify your geographical location in your fleet. So if you're on the U.S. side, still part of the global agency, you can include USA or your location. So the clients of the agency on a global scale won't necessarily be directly linked to your part of the business.
Mm-hmm.
And again, I don't know if that's the correct answer.
Yeah, so partition
So
it.
geotagging it.
Where's the line between
There's a running me wagon.
getting your exercise? The line between I'm Linda Ford and I happen to see something online and Taylor's got a new pair of jeans and I want to tell my friends about it because we love Ann Taylor jeans. Well, I happen to work for USA Today. Ann Taylor happens to have an ad in USA Today promoting the jeans. I didn't see it. It's an honest mistake. I'm not promoting the USA Today ad. So where is that line between I'm a human being and this is my personal life and, oh, but there is some crossover?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think the larger issue is, the real issue is this institutionalized deception, right? And so we're spending some time on a corner case, and it might not be the best use of this group, but the reason I brought it up is to say that these are the issues that we kind of wrestle with as a panel. In that particular case, it's human error, and I don't even know if it's an error, but it's definitely not institutionalized. I think a great policy would be for big companies to have a client list page, and the company, they could encourage their employees to put in their profile a link to that list of clients and say, disclose prominently any accounts you're on, keep the entire client roster short linked in your profile. That way people can click through and see who else we're affiliated with. I personally, and this is speaking for myself, I personally feel like that would be a great approach. We haven't, as a panel, been approached by anybody with that concern. But there has been some hints in the press. Washington Post was kind of kicking around this issue a little bit. So it's something that could come up in a more concrete way.
I think just to follow up on that, the Ann Taylor example that Joe mentioned, it's interesting to see how the FTC is approaching investigation and enforcement. What they singled out is that there were a large number of bloggers that went to this event and almost none of them disclosed. So when there's a consistent pattern, and Joe used the word institutionalized, that's going to cause some flags to be raised. If it's a one-off that clearly has no intention to deceive, I would think that the example you gave, it's fairly remote again, the connection, you probably would be okay. But it's a matter of how the FTC also enforces.
But it's healthy to think about because it helps you calibrate what you do as an organization.
Okay.
Hi. Hi, this is Dave. So I think the Twitter example is much clearer when you can put a hashtag in there. What about on Facebook? Just clicking the like button is an endorsement, but to give a disclosure, it's not even really possible. Yeah. So I guess the question is, can employees not like any of their? I mean, it seems ludicrous, but at the same time, technically, if an employee, I like our clients' content if I like it in real life, right?
Right.
I do. So maybe I'm violating, the FTC guidelines by doing that. I think it's a huge gray area, but I'm wondering what your thoughts are on that.
That's a great question.
It's very similar to the class or the retweet, the automatic retweet function. So the platform isn't giving you the opportunity to disclose, and I think that poses a bit of a conundrum. You heard Joe gave the NMS strategy is just no automatic retweeting by employees of their clients' content. I mean, that's a very that's the high road, and I think you're right. I think there's an issue there. I think
well, the issue would be if there's something material, we'll give you $1 for every
like you
time you click the like button. I mean, I think that would be flagrant. But
you know, if I'm paying my employees.
yeah.
Yeah.
You know,
But yours is more nuanced, yes.
I'm not paying them to like stuff, but if they see content they like, and they like it, you know, that's.
A start would be to not make that any requirement or not provide them with any incentive. It's not tied to their performance reviews. I think a start would be just to let those likes happen organically and not try to goose that system. But that doesn't answer your fuller question, which is something that would need a bigger conversation.